But yeah, dual quests were kind of disappointing. I don't know. I like the concept of dual quests, like going in 1v1, this kind of like challenging quest where you're trying to like, I don't know, show off your mastery of the bosses to get some cosmetics, and then also like a capsule that can give you better ones. Like I like that whole idea, but I don't like the Duffy augments and how much it relies on those. You pretty much need a good chunk of them to be able to just clear it, at least for most players. But if you want to even get like an S rank or a hope of an S rank, which is like a 3 minute timer, you pretty much need every single one. And you need a full like decked out set, or at least close to it. And that I find really annoying and really bad design. I felt like it should have just been based off of what we already had. Like, there shouldn't have been, like, specialized augments. I think it's just a way for SEGA to increase the longevity of that content and make people spend their Meseta. No, it essentially doesn't need to be there. But, you know, if for some reason it had to be there or whatever, it's still really hard to obtain these Duffy capsules. Like, that's just like the hardest part of getting into dual quests is just getting those and then being able to affix them onto pieces of gear. And right now, the only ways to get them are through the Happy Rappy Rumble urgent quest, which you just have to wait to show up. And the other one, which is limited, is you can get 10 of each, well, 10 of 3 of the 5. Which, if you're one of those people that don't really like chancing or gambling, and you're going to use all 10, that's only enough for one piece of gear. And that isn't even all 5 of the Duffy augments. So that isn't going to get you far enough. I'd expect you to gamba on it and hope you get lucky. Because for me, I gambed on it, and I kept failing, and failing, and failing, and failing, and failing. And I spent 9 million Meseta just to make 3 armor pieces that only have half of the Duffy augments. That's it. I don't even have a weapon with Duffy augments on it. Like, this is what I have. I have this with 2 of them, and then the other 2 have the 3, like, normal ones. It doesn't even have, like, the Machimies or the Plutos, because you can't really get those. You can't farm them. Those 2, like the ones with the potency floor and the crit rates, which are the more important ones, you have to get to drop in the urgent quest. And as far as I have seen, you get 3 guaranteed of the Duffy capsules, but they seem to be more lenient to the worst of the 3. Like the Ceres, the Eris, and the Homius, or whatever, like the ones that I have on right now. Or have the ones right there. Yeah, these 3. That's just damage resistance, which is nice for not taking as much hits. But offensive PP recovery, which isn't really useful for most classes. I mean, kind of good for like on downs with like Braver Katana or whatever. But this one right here is like the only like useful one I see for like trying to clear. With its sub effect, increase PB gauge when attacking plus 30%, so you get your Photon Blast more often. But those are just, like, lacking in comparison to the other 2. 20% potency floor on the Machimies and 5% critical rate on the Plutos. Like, oh my god. Like, I feel like if I had those, the dual quest would be so easy. Insanely easy. They wouldn't even be a quote-unquote challenge. And so to me, the dual quests only feel like a challenge because they forced it to be, due to like health and attack that these things do, and you are required to get the Duffy capsules. You can't use previous gear, like, at all. And that's just like really disappointing. You have to make a specific set for these quests, and there's 4 of them. Can't use the Duffy capsules in any way for the rest of the game. They're going to become pretty much phased out. At, you know, once dual quests don't matter anymore, you know, the Duffy capsules aren't going to matter anymore. too much plus complexity to make things separate. Next thing you know, you'll make units and weapons quest specific. Yeah, it has me worried that that's what they're going to do in the future for other duel quests, because this is just phase 1 duel quests, and also just like other content. Like if they already have done something like this before, they had a whole weapon series that was dedicated to one piece of content, and that was the Coclosiat, or Cuckoo Rosiat as it was known initially, for Geolab rank 1, or just Geolab. Let me see if I still have it. I have one right here. Yeah, this one. So this one is only really usable for the Geolab, because it gets additional potency plus 5% and damage resistance plus 50% when on Geometric Labyrinth quest. So just in a Geolab you get those benefits. But I mean, this weapon became obsolete because, you know, it's just a 5-star weapon that isn't that great, and it's only usable for one quest. And even during the time of its release, people didn't really use this very much because there was already other weapons that did more damage, like the Relic and the Sinkwim. So I don't know. I just worry that they're going to do more things like this only for certain quests. Just like an augment form, weapon form, maybe even armor form somehow. I don't know. I just feel like it's a dangerous path. It kind of, I don't know, reminds me of like seasonal based content. Like you have to get this new set of things just because of this one thing that just came out, and it isn't going to be useful for anything else for the entirety of the game. Kind of like how Destiny has like those like seasonal power things, so you lose your power and you have to gain it all back every season. It's kind of something like that. Just you know, Phantasy Star format. Thankfully, like, you know, the dual quests and like the Geolab stuff, like, didn't really need to be done. Like, it was side content, it wasn't required to do in any way. But I fear that there will be something in the future that you'll feel like you need to do, or it is necessary to do, but you have to build specific augments. Like you have to have these specialized ones for the one type of quest or one type of mode. But I can see them fixing it in like a few ways. One is just make the capsules just really easy to get, and then I don't think people would complain as much because it's just like, all right, I'll build the new sets, but like it's easy to make, just get it done. But in terms of Sega standpoints, they wouldn't really do that because they want to extend the longevity. Like that's the point of having these augments, is to make people take more time, play the game to get these augments, farm for them. Like it might be a sneaky way of going about it, but you know, it works for quite a few people. I feel like if they wanted to fix it in a better way, is that you could still have the Duffy augments, just have them be for players that are more casual and not it be a necessity to get like S rank or whatever. So if you just go into it with like the best in slot, like you're min-maxing or whatever, you're like a pretty good player, like a veteran or whatever, you just go into these dual quests, you should be able to complete it and maybe even like S rank it or A rank it without these Duffy augments. I feel like it's way overtuned with these Duffy augments, where they don't feel like an advantage, as they say, because they specifically say, oh, some players will be able to complete the dual quest without these, but the Duffy augments are an advantage, you know, to, you know, these quests. It doesn't feel like an advantage. It feels like that's the, like, I'm actually doing normal damage now. Like, I'm actually at the normal. So I feel like they could either just fix the overtuning, or they extend the timer. Extend the timer and just be a little more lenient with the ranks. Because, all in all, like, it's still about your skill and surviving the quests. Like, I feel like the timer, I don't know, it's more like a DPS check with the timer than it is about, like, your mastery over the bosses. Because in my eyes, like, part of the mastery is not dying. So they can keep that restriction. Like, you can't really die, otherwise you're gonna lose the quest. But also, like, the quests themselves, just personally, to me, do not feel good. Like, despite, you know, the Duffy augment problem, like, the quests themselves, I feel like could use more work. Because all it is, like, facing previous bosses that we faced a million times before. At least if you're a veteran or whatever. Because there's nothing really, like, different. Like, you're just facing the same boss, it just has more attack and more HP by, like, a lot. Kind of mentality of, oh, challenge or difficulty just means make everything tanky, right? Make it do a lot of damage instead of like actually involving new move sets, mechanics, whatever. But I feel like for the next iteration of Duel Quest, like when they do a phase 2, inevitably, they definitely need to look it over. I would say don't do the Duffy capsules, but if they are going to like have another, you know, P.02 version of them, just don't have them be a requirement, and instead have it be something that just kind of like helps casual players to be able to complete it if they start getting more. And just allow us to use our, you know, existing sets, like if you're like min-max or something. Yeah, personally though, I feel like the rewards are pretty much spot on and what it needs to be. Getting those Fermito fuchsias is good, a farmable thing. And then just cosmetics and star gems for first time clearing them. I feel like that's pretty much exactly what I would want it to be. Doesn't need to be any different. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people like screw up with the Duffy augments too. Like players that don't really understand that it's only for dual quests. And some people don't realize that they need to put it on a separate piece of gear. They need to make a completely new set and like weapon that's separate. Specifically for dual quests. Yeah, it's kind of like a mess. I think there were some comments on my video that we can take a look at. I've just spent loads of Maseta upgrading my new armor for the Slayer class. I don't really want to spend Maseta for a whole new set just for dual quests, yeah. I don't know, it's just like terrible. Because, yeah, the Duffy augments are just super expensive right now, and they're just low, like, there's just like a low amount of them. And just also just upgrading new pieces of gear. So, like, plus 50ing at least for the armors, you know, either Claire or Ajax, whatever you want to choose. And then, like, also getting a whole new weapon, which Astrian's the best, which you can't buy. So you have to earn another one of those. So either have the Aegis Integra or get one to drop from Darkfall's Aegis, which isn't being ran this week. Like, it's only the new urgent quest. So you can't even do Darkfall's Aegis normally. You have to use a trigger for this week. So there's that. Let's see. Went to try before checking this video or asking around. I felt depressed when I only did 50% in 5 minutes. I thought I was having some skill issues, didn't know I was doing like 1/4 the damage that I could, even by just using ×3 of the augments for the whole 4 pieces of gear. So yeah, it's definitely way overtuned. Like even this person's saying here, it's like they only did like 50% in the 5 minutes. Because of like the Duffy augment situation. Yeah, I was able to get like 30 to 20% for certain bosses. But yeah, you pretty much need them to even feel like you're doing normal damage against them. How many Duffy augments you got? Oh, you got enough? Alright, you beat it. There you go. That's how it pretty much is, because you got the damage resistance, you got the crit rate, the potency floor, all those things. I wish they didn't force you to make a whole new set to use Duffy, but I really want those cosmetic rewards. Oh, they're caving in, they're doing it just like me. Oh no. They're gonna spend 9 mil just like me. Just cry about gambling. But yeah, the main problem with the dual quest is that 5-minute window. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like if they were a little bit more loose with the time, like gave it like 10 minutes, or even just like had no timer pretty much, then I feel like it would be fine. Because then it would be up to your skill. Because you could use just like any augments, and then just like as long as you survived, then you could complete it at some point. They could still have like that system of, you know, B rank, A rank, S rank. So like the faster you do it, the more rewards that you get out of it. But yeah, it's just like it feels like you need to build DPS. You can't have any other kind of builds. You can't have tankiness. You can't have like, I don't know, mix. You have to go glass cannon. You absolutely have to. Unless if you're just using the Duffy augments, you know. And it's terrible. Yeah, right here. Wish I could have watched this first. Spent a few mil kitting out all my best in slot gear with one of these each. Now kicking myself, understanding I should basically just build a whole separate set for this content. Yeah, people are doing this. It's unfortunate to see that some people are using these Duffy augments on their best gear or their current gear, and they're like, uh-oh, I screwed up. Pretty much just like wasting money, unfortunately. Hopefully they don't have like too crazy of things on their gear, so they didn't replace like Mastery or I don't know, like Gigas 4 or something like that with a Duffy Aug, but yeah, it's still like it ended up wasting resources because of these like specialized Augs. See, definitely won't be doing that. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are commenting this too, where they're just like, I just don't want to do this. Doesn't sound good at all. I think pretty much everybody else is on like the same page that these Duffy augments are fucking trash. Nobody really wants these to be a thing, at least not required to do the quests. Yeah, honestly, it was a good first try, but I think it was a swing and a miss. I think they need to go back at it for phase 2 whenever those come out. Hopefully they don't just like completely abandon it. I feel like they wouldn't do that, hopefully. But definitely take a look at the balancing of what we currently have versus specialized augments. Just make it like a closer gap. Like, don't make it so extreme that it's like 3% potency more per capsule plus these massive sub effects. Like, don't do that. Or just make it like a more lenient timer and just keep like the single death or whatever. Yeah, I think you guys get the point on this.